This conference will now be recorded.
Sorry, I was speaking on mute. So, who would like to share your screen? Today, we are just going to create an account in Salesforce and see what is what. A very basic. So, if you have any, if anyone logged in through system, please do share the screen. Girija, Prabhudeva, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Shravani, can you share your screen? Is that okay?
I am outside right now. I just spoke to Venkat Garu and like 5 minutes ago, and I just joined from outside. So I'm on my phone, so I couldn't. I'm sorry.
How about others? Anyone? Krishna, Girija, Shekhar, Prabhu.
Uh, Actually, my laptop is not working properly, so that's the reason.
Okay,
Mic is
fine, not.
working on my laptop. Maybe
Okay,
tomorrow onwards I will try to connect here.
okay. Okay, as let me see if the session is getting recorded. I think yes. Okay, what you have to do for the first thing that you want when you want to get the Salesforce is go to this URL called developer.salesforce.com and do a sign up. When I hit sign up, couple of questions will be asked. My first name, last name, email ID. Email ID can be your personal email ID also. And job role. Job role, you can choose anything. It doesn't matter. There is no restrictions. You can choose any role. It's just to capture the details. Okay. And then company is also fine. Even if you are a grad, you can just give any company name, of course, like maybe Career IT or Salesforce or anything. And when it comes to username, this is something which is very important. It says name at the rate your company.com, which means ideally our username must be in the form of an email ID. Okay, may not be an exact email ID which is working, but it should be in that format. Once done, if you scroll down, you have to do a sign up. Post this, you will be getting an email for verifying this account. From that email, you can reset your password. Once you once you create your own password, then you can go to this another URL called login.salesforce.com. This is the place where we can access the Salesforce for our daily practice. Okay, and then here once you come, as I have multiple accounts, it is showing me multiple things, but for you it will ask for username and password. Once you have given your credentials, click on login. Once you log in, this is what you are going to see. Any questions on the sign up? Anyone? Simple. Go to developer.salesforce.com. I'll repeat again. Click on sign up. Give all your details. In this, generally people have questions like, what role should I give? You can give any role. It doesn't matter. It's the same org. It's just to capture your details. Salesforce is asking for role. What is your interest kind of? And the username, it can be in an email form. Sorry, it must be in an email format. It may not be like an actual email ID or a company ID that you are using for. Okay, if it is in some email format, like let's say ram@gmail.com, that also works only if no one has created a username with that string. Okay, generally what people will give is they'll give the same email ID here so that it will work it out. Okay, post that from the email you can set your password. Once the password is set, you go to this login.salesforce.com, give your credentials, username that you have defined here, password you will set it up from the verify password link, so all will be there, so you can access the system from here. Any questions, anyone? I can move forward only if you say there is no questions. If you have, do let me know, I'll clarify.
No questions from me.
So now, so what we did, we have created an account. I mean, for our side, like initially we'll think that okay, I have created an account in Salesforce, like the way you have created an account in your Facebook or LinkedIn, right? But here it is a bit different. When I create an account in Facebook or LinkedIn, what happens? I can talk to anyone, right? I can upload my images, share my videos, post my resume, right, across the world, right? And I can connect with anyone. But when I say I am creating an account or I am signing up for Salesforce, remember one of the images in the demo, like multi-tenant. For multi-tenant, I have shown you an apartment. So in that, I took a flat, which means I am capturing a small space of Salesforce server where I can create some other users also within this space. And this space, the technical name for this small space in Salesforce is nothing but org. So I have signed up for a Salesforce org. In this org, I can create some users. I can provide access to those users as well. Okay. Those, like how do we create extra user apart from you? How do we provide access? What are the ways to control? We'll see it in future sessions. Okay. Then next. So as I have created this org, I am the admin. As I am admin, I can see all this. But today we will see how it works for an end user. Okay, then we'll come back. Now, what if an end user logs into the system? When an end user logs in, he will be taken to one of the application. For example, where does that application resides? In the app launcher. This is called as an app launcher, where you can see the list of applications that are available for you. Okay, which means the org, as a system admin, I can access everything. So as a system admin, let's say I might have defined 50 applications, but for Shravani being my end user, I have to provide only access to only two applications. Then she'll see only two applications here. Okay. So the number of applications that are visible here is based on the accessibility which is defined for me from my admin. Now I'll hit sales because this is one of the common applications that generally people will be aware of. So give me a minute, I'll go to some other org. This is not something standard.
Uh, Sorry to ask few dumb questions because I'm from science background. Who
That's
is
okay.
the end? Who is the end user here?
Your customers,
Okay, so you are the admin and the customers are called end users.
yeah,
Okay.
for example, I'm working for a bank, then my bank customer is my end user, or maybe my staff, the employees are my end users. They'll be using Salesforce internally.
Yep. Got you. Yeah. Thank you.
Or yeah, example, if you see this, there is a website called Redbus. This uses Salesforce, by the way. For them, I'm an end user. Right? So backend of
Okay.
Redbus is Salesforce. Okay. Now, but those are portals. We are speaking about internal users. So when I logged into Salesforce, so I have to go to this app launcher. From this app launcher, I'll pick my application. I'll say I'll go with sales. When I open sales, yeah, this is the standard sales application which is given by Salesforce. Now, before we go to the screen, let me open an Excel sheet, a very layman or a simple Excel sheet. Now, what do you mean by an application? Application is nothing but collection of data with some well-defined process, right? Now, consider we have Elon Musk. So he has businesses in multiple areas, right? He has Tesla, right? And he is going to buy Twitter. That's the news. And he has some organization which manufactures rockets and launch them to the spaces, right? So he has, let's say, he has multiple organizations, and now he wants to capture the details of these organizations. So as of now, let's say he don't have anything in hand apart from a simple basic laptop, of course, without internet. What he'll do, he'll go with one of the super tools that is there in IT, that is Excel. Because this is one of the best tools that is available in IT. Because using Excel, I can do anything, right? Now, what he does, as he has multiple businesses, he'll create multiple Excel files. So what am I doing now? I am going to compare your Excel sheet with Salesforce. Okay, Excel on the one side, and the other side it is Salesforce. Okay, so he'll maintain multiple files for multiple businesses. So I'll say when I speak about Excel, you'll have files. For example, book one is a file, right? In this file, let's say he'll start capturing the details like why it's not coming. Maybe customers, maybe products, transactions, etc. etc. Like he'll start capturing the details, and each and every sheet, what he'll do, he'll capture the information of the people, or that relevant information. Maybe when I say it is customer, I'll capture name, maybe email, maybe phone number, address, etc., etc., right? And under name I'll have all names, emails, phones, and address. It's not like under address I will say Ram, and under phone I'll say Ram at r at s.com, something like this, right? I should follow in the same order also, right? Now when I speak about a sheet, I'll be able to access the data. Let's say Ram is your customer, r at s.com is his email, 1234 is his phone number, address maybe ABC. Okay, which means under file you will have multiple sheets. Under sheets you will have tables. Each sheet will allow me to access the table, and what you have in your table, rows and columns, right? So row and columns, and each row, if you, by the way, each row will have its own number, which you don't have, in which you don't have I mean control on it. I cannot control this row 4, right? I can't change this to 5 and keep this 5 as is. That's not possible, right? So you will have row numbers. Is this clear? This is what is your Excel, right? Now let us go to Salesforce. Now Elon Musk thought like, okay, I have captured enough information, but this Excel sheet is not working out for me. We need to do something. So that is where we proposed him, hey, why can't you use Salesforce? So like, what is Salesforce? He asked us like, okay, can you describe Salesforce? I'll say Salesforce is nothing but a place where you can define the same applications that you have defined in your different Excel sheets. Have these are list of your applications that are available, which means instead of files, I'll ask Musk to define applications. Of course, he has to buy one Salesforce org. So instead of multiple files, Excel files, I'll ask him to create multiple applications in the Salesforce org. And in the applications, so here in the Excel, I have sheets at the bottom, right? But when it goes to applications, you will have sheets on the top. So opportunities, it can be leads, it can be tasks, accounts, contacts. These are all called as the tabs. The technical name for a sheet in Salesforce is nothing but tab. And what is the purpose of sheet? Sheet helps you to access the data of your table, right? Every sheet will have multiple. Every sheet will have a table. So here, every tab will have object is connected to a object, and this, for example, contact sheet or contacts tab helps me to access contact object. Under this, I can see multiple contacts like Gopi, Hemant, Vihari, etc. etc. Yeah. And each table is helping me to access a specific row, right? Here, object helps me to access a specific record. And each table will have rows and columns, right? Rows is done, like every column will specify, like let us say if I go with name, I can't simply say 456 here, and maybe Venkat here, and maybe ABC here, and maybe test.com here. This is not the right way of defining the thing, right? That's not the right way because I have said specified that see column D should always have name, then email, then phone, then address, right? So the same thing, but here we will define those patterns. We have something called fields. Instead of columns, we call them as fields. Name is a field, home phone is a field, first name, last name, account name. If I scroll down, you'll see a lot of other fields also it will capture, right? So which means the technical name for a column in Salesforce is nothing but field. And what are these row numbers? Every record that you create in Salesforce will generate a ID. See if you see here this one. This is the ID. For example, I'll cut this. I'll just paste this ID. And capture it. See, I can still open it. Even if I'm not there on that specific tab, I can open that record. I will say this one as record and a record ID. We don't have any control. Salesforce will generate automatically whenever you are creating a record. Any questions? Anyone?
So what is this lightning there when you are is it a version or what is the lightning?
This one. I will tell you in detail. So this is the new version of Salesforce. Not new version actually. People are using it since 2014. Before that, we used to use Classic. Salesforce has migrated from Classic version to Lightning version.
Okay. This record number can we see anywhere here in the it is showing in the URL right now. Can
Yes.
we show any I mean can we see anywhere in the application? I mean to say the
On the
details.
detail,
Yeah.
as of now, no. We can capture it and show it on the detail as well in future. But why I'm specifying about record ID, why not some other fields? Because if I have this, then I can do anything and everything about this record. I can update this record, delete the record, send email through this record. Anything can be done when you have this 15 character ID with you. Okay?
Okay.
Any questions, especially on this Excel sheet? Because if you are clear with this, the future sessions will be much more easier to understand. Because people
Here, sorry,
go on.
here files in the sense multiple Excel sheets or
Yeah, multiple Excel files, not sheets. These are sheets, right?
yeah,
Customers,
multiple
products,
Excel.
transactions. These are sheets. I'm speaking about multiple files. For example, book one is one file for me. If I save this,
Yeah. Okay.
right? Any questions? Anyone? Then what next? Now I want to know something about oil. What happened? Google has started showing the information of a keyword that I was trying to search for oil, right? From where this uh, search results are coming from? From Google search engine, or sorry, from Google server. So we have a search engine that is querying based on this keyword that I have given as oil, and it is showing. Correct. Now, similarly here, if I search for oil, this will show me the list of all the records whose string matches with oil. Now, why you used oil? Because I know that there are some records with matches with oil. Okay, that's the only reason. And by the way, when you create a Salesforce org, these three records will come and sit in your system by default. By default, Salesforce will give you all the applications that I'm showing. I mean, from the app launcher that I have shown you now, and even every application it will load certain data also. Okay, you don't have to worry about it. So now I have decided, okay, I will work on this United Oil and Gas Singapore. Now, while working, I thought like, okay, how many times should I go? Because I may not remember this again. Okay. Now, do we really have such end users? Yes, I have seen like them. They said like, I don't have time to remember this. Then what do we do? So you have an option called making the record favorite, so that next time they log in, whatever might be the tab they are, if they are on any application, they can go to this down arrow mark, click on this, and they can access that specific record. Sorry, I have chosen Singapore, right? So as this search bar is allowing me to search for anything and everything that is related to this oil in the entire Salesforce org, which is given to me by Salesforce. This is called as global search. And here on the left side, you can see the results also from different objects. Okay. Now I want to create a contact. Let's say I am working for maybe a financial broking sector, and I got to know that maybe one of my customer called Rajesh, or maybe a new person called Rajesh, would like to invest something. So I went to him, spoke to him, shared him the details. He said okay, but he's in a rush to leave to some other place. Now I didn't capture this his details yet. So if I want to capture ideally what should happen, I should go to contacts tab. Contacts is the place where we'll capture the person's information. Click on new button and you will start capturing his details, right? But by the time I'm opening this and all, Rajesh might leave. So what I can do is I'll click on this plus symbol, which is a shortcut. I will say new contact, and it will hardly ask me two, three details. That's it. Okay, very basic information. By providing this, I can also create a record in the system. As this is a shortcut, this is called as a global action. We can define the action and learn the things easily using your global action. Can we also define some global actions? Yes, I'll show you later. Okay, then I want to learn Salesforce from Salesforce. Then go to guidance path, guidance center. From here, you can navigate to Salesforce websites where you can register with Salesforce. I think for admin they'll charge $2,000. For development they'll charge around $2,000. Okay. Then this gives me the health. I'll tell you later. So how much of quality of health that I'm having in my org. So that I'll tell you later. The next one is question mark. While working, let us say if one of the features of Salesforce that they have given me is not working properly. Definitely, right? Like any product, any IT application in the world will definitely will have some issues. But here, once you have an issue, you can raise a Salesforce ticket. You can get the support from Salesforce also. But not for the people who are using the free license. They'll respond only to the buyers or the original licensed people. Then you have gear icon. From there, I went to setup. This is the place where I can see, or this is the place where I can define anything and everything about this organization. And mainly, every day we will be working on the setup screen itself till we complete the admin. Okay, here we can create our own applications, we can create our own objects, our own metadata, or we can create our own automations, we can create our own validations. Everything can be done using your setup screen. Any questions so far? Anyone? Hello. Okay. Then, and the gear icon again. So you have something called service setup. Service related applications, service cloud related applications will be there in your service setup. I'll discuss about service setup later. It's not that important. Then you have something called console. This is the place where your developers will work. This is the place where we can create our own custom component. For example, this figure I've created at the backend. Similarly, we can query the records, we can test the code. All these things can be done from here. Yeah. So when we start the development, we'll start discussing about this console also. And then notifications, like if you have any notifications, it will come over here. Like if someone raised a request for your approval or something, or if you have any tasks pending to complete, all these things will come here. Then I'll go to my avatar. Here I have settings. Like when I go to settings, it will show me all my personal information. If I want to do a change in my personal information, I can do it. Or I can change my password, I can change my connection details, I can change my language, or I can even check my login history from the system. Okay, all this can be done from your settings. And someone asked, what is this lightning ram? So before lightning we used to have this something called classic. This is how your classic version looks like in Salesforce. Okay,
Okay, this is the
more
default
or less.
version.
Sorry.
This was the older version, classic.
Yes, earlier version of Salesforce. So 99% of the customers is not using Classic. Why? Because Salesforce has migrated from Classic to Lightning. around 8 or 9 years back.
Okay.
A very, very rare people are using it. That too, I have seen this uh, around 2, 3 years back. So most of the people are getting migrated to Lightning. And here also the same thing. You will also have say list of applications. You can access the same sales application from here also. So these are the tabs. You can access any of the tabs and create the records or open the existing record like the way that I'm doing now and start using that. And now what is the difference between Classic and Lightning UI? If you see the time that your Classic is taking is pretty less when you compare with the time that your Lightning is taking, right? Because Lightning UI is a bit rich, so it takes some time to load. Yeah.
Now, how do we do the deployment here? I mean, once we develop something, is there anything like deployment here, or is it inbuilt?
No, we do have deployment, Krishna, but it's way too far for others as of now. But we will discuss for that for sure.
The integrations and all will cover later, right?
Everything. Yeah, we will discuss. So I am talking about admin initially because unless until you complete admin, you can't go to the development. During that time when we start the development, so I'll tell you what all the different environments that we have in Salesforce and how do we push the code from one environment to another environment, which technically called as deployments. And what if there is an external system that you want to integrate? What is the process that you'll follow? All those things in future.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I don't want to confuse other people by bringing those concepts because those are almost uh, I'll discuss more mostly after completing 60 or 70 sessions. I mean 60 or 70% of the sessions, not 60 70 sessions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And now, okay, this is my classic version, but I don't like it, so I'll switch to like.
So you said the difference is UI. What is UI?
What is that? Sorry,
So you said the difference between the classic and the new one is UI. What are you?
user interface. I mean
User
the look
interface.
and
Okay.
feel.
Okay.
Lightning is a bit rich when you compare with your classic because it uses lot of JavaScripts, HTML5, CSS, all this. But in classic, it's pretty simple. So the load that you are taking, for example, it is something similar to your Facebook, your Lightning, right? It takes a lot of time to load. Even in your Gmail, also you have an older version, also, right? If people remember, like around 6 7 years back you can even I mean they used to allow us to go to the previous version. Actually older versions are good, like sometimes I use classic itself because more or less the concepts are same apart from few, but most of the concepts are same, like when I create an object or a tab or a application, all these things, whatever you do here you'll do the same thing even in classic also, but there is a bit faster. Okay. The more number of complexity is that is defined on your user interface, the more amount of time the system will take to load the page. Remember this all the time. Okay.
Sorry, come again. What
I
did you
mean
say?
the more number of UI features or latest UI features that are defined on your application, the more amount of time it will take to load.
Okay. Yeah.
Everything comes at a cost, right? But people using are using Lightning only because Here you will have very decent user interface when you compare with your classic. It's not so boring, and there are a lot of advantages also, like lightning pages and all. So we'll discuss that.
Okay, hope this everyone is using only this Lightning now, right?
Yeah, as I said, right, Salesforce has migrated from classic to lightning in 2014, and they clearly stated going forward Salesforce will work only on lightning. But if you are an existing customer and if you have built Salesforce classic applications, and if you don't want to be on lightning, Salesforce allows you. But tell me, which customer will go to that user interface which is very boring?
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
And as it is being more than 8 years, people is using only lightning. Very rarely you'll see out of 1,000 users, not even 100 users, out of 1,000 users, one or two users will be using classic. And that too, I myself worked on at least 11 migration projects from classic to lightning. I migrated them from classic to lightning. So if a person like me who worked only on the migration out of 70 applications which I built from end to end, 11 are migration projects from classic version to lightning.
Are you going to cover that, like migrating,
Not required, Krishna, at all, because this I have done around 4 years back. That too very rarely. Last application that I
No, not
converted
only,
to
I'm not talking about, migrating from Classic to Lightning. Maybe if
Mm.
the customer is using some other application, I mean, they want to,
Oh, the
migrate to
concepts are
Salesforce.
same.
That,
See, no, wait. Actually, the concepts are same. Okay. So, for example, let us say I want to define an object in Lightning. What we'll do is I'll go to setup, go to object manager, click on create a new object. But if I want to create the same thing in your classic, switch to classic, go to setup. There is no change in the concept.
no, I understood, like, but what I'm trying to ask you is, suppose, in our applications, like, they might be using some different application, they will migrate to different, some other application, maybe because of, features or some other latest application. Okay, in that case, are we going to migrate only the data, or how is it?
Um, okay. See, as I said, right, there is no change in it. Only change is how you showcase it to the end users is what matters, right? So if you are learning Lightning, because as I said, right, no one is using Classic, even when they are there, they have migrated also. So even if you go to the say, I mean, like if you say that I worked on Classic, then they'll ask you like, why do I need Classic? That is how the market is. It is close to a decade that Salesforce has migrated. And why they are just left it as is, because Salesforce in general they won't deactivate any old features, because they'll say that we will support older versions and newer versions. That's the only case. Okay,
Okay.
we are going to define everything about lightning only in the sessions, and there are one or two places there I will take you to classic. Okay, actually this I used to do around a year or 2 years back, because there is one feature which was not migrated to Salesforce, I mean Lightning from Classic, but that was taken care 2 years back also. So there is nothing that you have to go back and check.
No, that is fine. Ram, actually, what my question was is like, see, suppose uh, one company is acquired by, I mean, one bank, I mean, example, bank is acquired by another bank. Okay, in that case, the old, I mean, the bank which is acquired is using Salesforce, but the one, which was, uh,
Speaking
the,
about the data migration,
yeah, yeah, correct.
that will be covered. Don't worry.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, that's what I'm asking. Migration means
So
like from which,
that's one of the concepts, right? It's not like unless until you know how to load bulk data, which you
mm,
get from a different system into your current organization, there is no point, right? So those concepts will be covered for sure. But initially, we'll see how do we create individual records, and going
yeah,
forward,
yeah.
we'll see how we cover bulk transactions. Okay.
Okay.
So that's all from today. I think this is good enough for today's concept. So before you're coming tomorrow, I want you to register with Salesforce, and because tomorrow one of you will be sharing the screen, and we will work as an end user. First, we will get used to Salesforce screens. Post that, we'll discuss about some custom application or a custom requirement that I'm gonna bring on maybe tomorrow, and then we'll see how do we build that custom requirement into Salesforce with all the concepts that we are gonna discuss. Sorry, is that okay?
Okay.
Any other questions? Anyone? Girija, Shankar, Shivani, sorry, Shravani, Prabhu, Shekhar. Okay then. See you tomorrow. I think you will be getting the recordings post the session. Yeah. Bye everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye.